Airline disappearances have always captured the attention of the world. We think we know every corner of our vast planet, but there are still places 7 puzzling plane disappearances. Number 7. Amelia Earhart. As the first woman to cross the Atlantic Ocean in a plane 1928, and then the first woman to fly solo across the pond 1932. Amelia Earhart proved to people across the globe how high women could go. However, her story met a tragic and mysterious end in July 1937, when on a trip to fly around the world, her plane, a twin-engine Lockheed Electra, disappeared near the international date line in the central Pacific Ocean. Although there exists a great deal of speculation by scholars and mystics about the exact circumstances of her disappearance, such as the possibility of her being stranded upon an uninhabited island for years, nothing is known with absolute certainty. Number 6. Flying Tiger Flight 739. In mid-March 1962, during the preliminary stages of the Vietnam War, United States Army Flying Tiger Flight 739 vanished over the seemingly bottomless Mariana Trench in the Pacific Ocean on its way to the Philippines from Guam, approximately an hour after the plane's final communication. Members of a Standard Oil tanker in the area reported to have witnessed a luminous explosion in the sky, which some investigators have linked to the plane. No distress calls were received by any air traffic control centers, making it difficult to pin down exactly when things began to go wrong for those on board. After an exhaustive search party comprising 300 people, 48 aircraft, and 8 surface vessels, all of which covered roughly 144,000 square miles, proved entirely unsuccessful. Rumors ran rampant throughout the United States as to what had happened. Such theories range from claims that it was accidentally shot down by the U.S. government, who then covered their tracks, to simple engine and communication failure. However, the true cause remains elusive, and no one may ever know what really happened. Number 5. STENDEC. British South American Airways Lancastrian plane went missing on August 2, 1947. While finishing its final leg of a connecting flight from Buenos Aires to Santiago. Investigators and air traffic control centers alike were mystified, as the last communication received by a Chilean Air Force operator was the cryptic message STENDEC, which was long believed to be mistyped. However, over 50 years later, in the late 1990s, pieces of wreckage began to emerge in the Andes Mountains, and in 2000 various body parts from the flight's passengers were found, well preserved by glacial ice. Despite the circulating rumors, ranging from alien abduction to Nazi spies and stolen gold, an in-depth investigation uncovered that inclement weather had caused the crash, and determined that the most probable meaning of the strange communication was based on a WW2 code, deciphered as severe turbulence encountered, now descending, emergency crash landing. Number 4. Flight 19, Bermuda Triangle. Perhaps the most disputed plane disappearance occurred in early December 1945, when not one but 6 planes vanished, which have yet to be recovered. On that day, in average weather conditions, 5 Avenger torpedo bombers, which are well known in the aviation community for their immensity, took off from their base in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, for bombing practice in what has since become known as the Bermuda Triangle. After experiencing problems with their compasses, which is known to happen in that area as well as in the Chinese Sea, the 5 planes lost communication with the ground station. However, the ground station could still follow communications between the pilots of the planes, during which it was noted that they became disoriented as to their locations and decided that once the first plane dropped below 10 gallons of fuel, all planes were to ditch to the sea. An intensive rescue mission ensued immediately by the Coast Guard and Navy that covered 700,000 square kilometers over 5 days, during which another plane carrying 13 passengers disappeared, never to be found again. The only clue as to its fate was a report from an ocean liner that was in the supposed location of the plane at that specific time, claiming to have seen a giant fireball in the sky. However, to the date of this publication, no debris of the 6 missing planes or their passengers has been found, thus sparking the mysterious aura surrounding the legendary Bermuda Triangle. Number 3. Glenn Miller over the English Channel. By mid-December of 1944, Glenn Miller had already secured his place in world history as one of the greatest big band leaders and as a true innovator of the swing genre. However, when the plane he boarded was never seen again after its takeoff, his status grew to that of an American legend, as the plane, which was headed to Paris from London, departed on a cold, foggy day, and no other apparent conclusions could be drawn. The official report of the missing plane ruled that it must have crashed into the English Channel as a result of iced-over wings or engine complications. However, that ambiguous ruling failed to mollify a distraught population that had just lost one of the greatest morale boosters of the Allied powers. Naturally, gossip ensued about what had really happened. Theories were espoused ranging from the famed musician secretly landing only to die in a hospital from cancer, only days later to the plane being accidentally bombed by friendly fire from English planes jettisoning bombs that were originally intended for an aborted mission, none of which have been satisfactorily verified. All that is known with certainty is that the plane left for its seemingly short trip on December 15 and never arrived at its intended destination. Number 2. British South American Airways Star Tiger. On January 30, 1948, a British South American Airways Avro Tudor Roman IV plane named Star Tiger took off from Azores Archipelago in order to complete the last leg of a flight from London to Bermuda. Prior to takeoff, it was noted that the plane had endured problems with a heater as well as a malfunctioning compass. However, the plane continued on its schedule, behind a Lancastrian plane that served as a lookout for signs of tempestuous weather. So to keep the plane at a warmer temperature, it flew extremely low at 2,000 feet, thus eliminating virtually any sort of wiggle room if a problem should arise. Also, the low altitude caused the plane to burn fuel at a much faster rate than if it had been flying at a more appropriate height. When the Lancastrian plane successfully landed and was not immediately followed by the Star Tiger, ground control began to worry. Rescue crews searched without luck, and all 25 passengers and 6 crew members were never again heard from, leaving investigators to conclude that in connection to the whereabouts of the plane, it may be said that no more baffling problem has ever been presented. Recent investigators blame the unreliable design of the plane, possible gales that could have blown it straight into the sea, and its decision to fly so low. However, not so much as a life preserver or piece of broken glass has been found in connection to the Star Tiger. Number 1. British South American Airways Star Ariel. Nearly 1 year after the disappearance of the Star Tiger, another British South American Airways plane F, flying from Bermuda to Jamaica on January 17, 1949, disappeared completely. 1 hour after its departure, the Star Ariel made a routine communication, noting its location to the ground station, and shortly thereafter, apparently ceased to exist at an altitude of 18,000 feet. Because of suspected communication complications, a rescue party was not able to begin its search until 7.5 hours later, by which time any remnants of the plane could have begun their descent to the ocean floor. At the time, investigators were able to rule out 3 common scenarios: the plane running out of fuel, which seemed implausible at such a high altitude, any errors credited to the pilot, and inclement weather, as the report stated clear skies in that area. Thus, British civil servants in charge of the investigation noted that some external cause may have overwhelmed both man and machine, which inadvertently inspired a plethora of theories based upon mere conjecture by the common population. However, with time, Some experts have claimed that whatever happened must have happened quickly, without warning, therefore leading them to believe that there was an explosion resulting from a combination of defects inherent in the plane's design and rare circumstances. Whatever the explanation, no debris has been found, and all 20 passengers were reported missing and later presumed dead.